Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on ITC related changes that are coming up in the e-invoice. Maybe you can mute everyone. There is some noise coming. Yeah. So today's webinar is about the ITC related changes and the reversal requirements that are there, and certain new changes that have come into the Act by way of notification. These are the things that we are going to see. Just to give you a little bit about the GST Zen. GST Zen is an ASP and GSP. We are into the business of assisting in GST return filing. So our software is used by lot of corporates, from listed company to mom and pop stores. We have around 24,000 customers been using various features of the product, including one of the popular thing is converting a JSON file to Excel. E-invoice is one of the most usually solution of ours, because we have multiple solutions starting from Tally integrations. Even if your earlier version of Tally, say 7, 8, ERP9, there is a plugin which will help. If you have a proprietary database, there is a database integration solutions. Lot of service providers use our APIs to assist in generating e-invoice, integrating into their solution. Apart from that, the main feature of our application is consolidated the filing status and the information. A summarized GSTR 1, 2A, 2B, 3B report, which is popularly used by all of our users, and most of the people use for filing of the returns. Yeah. On this note, let us start the agenda of today's session. My name is Venugopal Gela. I am a practicing chartered accountant, and I've been in practice last 20 years. I deal in indirect taxes, which is GST, and also technology and automation. Today, we are going to deal about understanding GST, especially on the input tax credit related side. What are the changes that have come? What are the reporting requirements and the new ITC restriction that has come? At the end, again, my colleague Bharti would be doing a demo of how input tax credit reconciliation will be done using GST Zen, and also how we can see the status of your suppliers. Today, getting the credit from a correct supplier is important. Earlier, the credits were availed basis whatever which is there in the purchase invoice. But today, not just the supplier is showing it in GST or 2A, it should be there in 2B. Not just now 2B, it should be coming by 3B. So various conditions that have come into the law. We are going to see all those conditions. Feel free to put your questions into the chat. Someone is asking, Hindi में बात कर सकते हैं? Sir, आप जरूर कुछ question है तो पूछ लीजिए. We'll try to manage and create as much as. I think why recording stopped, I don't know. Utkarsh?
Sir, we are live on YouTube, sir. That video is there.
That's it. Okay. Yeah, so the recording is going on. All right.
Yeah, yes, sir.
No problem. Good. Okay. So let's begin with input tax credit eligibility and conditions. To avail input tax credit, there are 6 conditions. Condition number 1, you need to have a tax paying document. Condition number 2, this document should have been reported by the supplier, where in the GSTR 2B, in his GSTR 1, within the time. अगर GSTR 1 में report कर दिया तो 2A में आएगा, but अगर delay में file कर दिया तो खाली 2A में आएगा, 2B में नहीं आएगा. Then you have a condition which is a receipt of goods and services. Mere invoice is not sufficient. It will be tantamount into bill trading or circular trading. Along with the invoice, you should have received the goods. having been there in GST R2B, it shouldn't have been restricted by the government portal. Now, these are the two new conditions that have come. 16.2 AA, 16.2 BA. Earlier, there were 4 conditions given. With addition of these 2 conditions, it has become totally 6 conditions mandatory to fulfill, one for availing the input tax credit. Let us see one by one. The first condition, which is possession of a tax paying document. What does this mean? Possession of a tax paying document means, as stated by the government, it should be an invoice in case of a forward charge. In case of a reverse charge, self-tax invoice. Debit note if there is an upward movement. In case if it is an import of goods where you are paying to the customs, so you need to have bill of entry or a similar document, or an ISD credit. Basically, if you look at your GST or 3B, you have your 4A, which is bill of entry, 4B input tax RCM under reverse charge. This is 4B, and the ISD credit. 4C is RCM credit, 4D is ISD credit, 4A5 is the regular credit. So for each of the credit, they have prescribed one document. And the supplier perspective, supplier has to comply with a rule called Rule 46, where it has given a lot of contents which are required in an invoice. But from the recipient perspective, they said even if the supplier is not obliging Rule 46, if he is just giving a document where it gives you the amount of tax charged, the description of goods are there, there is a total value of the supply, both the supplier and the recipient GSTN is there, that is a sufficient information to claim the credit. Someone is saying my voice is not audible. Is my voice not audible, Utkarsh?
It's audible, sir. Sorry.
Okay, so participants, please check at your end. All right. The next condition we have is 16.2 AA, where the invoice details should have been furnished by the supplier. What does this mean? It says that the invoice, how much of the input tax credit that you have to avail, the quantum of the input tax credit one has to avail is given by way of Rule 36 of Rule 4, where it says that the invoice can be availed with respect to invoices or debit nets which have been uploaded by the supplier. Which means GSTR 1. And this upload should be such a way that this information should be available in GSTR 2B. That means the due date to file GSTR 1 is 11th, due date to file IFF is 13th. If someone is filing the information, they have to file within this period. If they don't file within this period, assuming if they're filing after 11th, say GSTR 1 they are filing on 12th, or IFF they are filing it on, let's say, 15th. If someone is filing on this date, then the credit will not be available in this month. It will be available in the next month. So the one can take a credit in the 3B only in the next month, even though the details are there in GSTR 2A, invoice has received, everything is there. This is the next condition. And the 36 of Rule 4 had various percentage, but now no longer percentage. From Jan 22 of the last year, all the credit has to be taken only if it is visible in GSTR 2B. There is no additional credit. So if the supplier has defaulted, you will not get the credit. Then the next condition, it says the input tax credit which has been communicated shouldn't have been restricted under Section 38. What does this mean? The government is contemplating to put new conditions. There are new conditions that are going to come, which time to time it will get notified. And one of the condition is if the supplier is newly registered. The supplier is newly registered. So you're buying the goods from someone. He has given you an invoice. You have made the payment to him. He has filed his GSTR 1. Within the time he has filed, it is visible in your GSTR 2B. In spite of all that, you will not get a credit, and government is going to put some savings clause so that to ensure there is no fly-by-night operators. Maybe they may say up to 10 lakh worth goods will not be eligible to be transferred beyond this, and up to 10 lakhs you will be able to get the credit. Something like that, they may give a restriction in the law. Second, the second restriction is supplier has filed this GSTR 1, but 3B is not filed. Supplier has filed GSTR 1, but 3B is not filed. Now, how do one know? Again, this is a post factum. In the month of, let's say, December R1 has been filed on 9th of January. So it came to my 2B, I have availed the credit. That month, he did not file 3B. So which means in the next month, it will slowly start showing that this credit will be blocked. He has filed R1, but his liability in R1, let's say in R1, he has shown a liability of 100 rupees. But in GSTR 3B, he is only showing a liability of 80 rupees. In such a scenario, where someone is showing a lower liability in 3B, even then the government is intending to put a restriction. For a moment, let us assume that he has shown 100 liability in R1 and 100 liability in 3B. This 100 he has paid through input tax credit. This entire 100 or some amount has paid through ITC. However, the ITC which he has taken in 3B is higher. In 3B, I have taken an ITC of 100 rupees, while my GSTR 2B, I have an ITC of 80 rupees. That means he has taken more credit. Again, the government is going to put a restriction on all the people to whom he has supplied. Now, will it be 20 rupees FIFO basis? Not available, but I want you to be aware. This is another condition that is going to come. Next, assuming that R1 and 3B is matching, 3B and 2B is matching, no issue. Government also has the problem where if my 100 rupees liability, whole of my liability has been paid through ITC. So government might be expecting at least 1% to be paid to the cash. So they may come up with some restriction saying that if we are paying entire tax liability through ITC, we will not allow. And in spite of all this, they have also brought another provision that if there is any other class of the taxpayer who is prescribed, who are the one not given, but if someone has been caught as bill trading, temporarily they may put a pause in the electronic credit ledger of the recipient to the extent of the purchases that you have made from this person. Even this is something that could be possible. This is something which is new going to come. Please be watchful. The next thing, we have seen 16(2)(BA. Next thing is the levy tax which has been levied is actually should have been paid to the government. This is another thing that has come. Again, Bharti will show a demo how you will be able to know it. So a new rule has been inserted, which is new rule 37A, wherein they are saying that the ITC has to be reversed on or before 30th November if the supplier has not filed 3B. And if you are not reversing, you pay interest. But if supplier files it at a later point in time, they say absolutely no issue. In fact, this is a verbatim reproduction of Rule 37A, wherein the Rule 37A says where the input tax credit has been availed by the registered person, and if in respect of such invoice, where the details have been furnished in GSTR 1 by the supplier, but not in GSTR 3B. So, but the return of 3B is not been furnished. Then, and by when it should be furnished? By 30th September. So they are saying by 30th September, whether it has been furnished or not, you check. If it is not furnished, 30th September, which means you will get to know on 12th October, right? So they are saying on or before 30th November, you please reverse it. on or before 30th November, you please reverse it. What will happen if you don't reverse? They're saying in case if you don't reverse it by on or before 30th November, then you will have to pay along with the interest thereon. You have to pay interest. You have to reverse later and interest thereon. From when? From the time you have availed the credit. So if you have availed, let's take a situation where in Jan 23, you have made a purchase. On 11th of February, he has filed his GSTR1. So if everything is good, it is visible in 2B, I have availed the credit. In the month of February, which is 20th February, while filing my Jan return, I have availed the credit. When the credit is availed, but he has not filed his 3B, till when? I will have to wait till 30th September. That means you need to have a visibility of all the suppliers. You need to have a visibility of all the suppliers who are filing their GSTR1 but not filed their 3B. Again, Bharti will give you a demo of how do you track suppliers who have not filed their 3B. The next thing that comes up to you is the credit availment. This credit has to be availed on or before. This credit has to be availed on or before 30th November of the next financial year, or filing of the annual return, whichever is earlier. So the credit has to be availed by 30th November or filing of the annual return, whichever is earlier. This provision was there as 30th September return, but that has been changed to 30th November. Now, the point again, everyone has to be very mindful of is if you are not availing in the return and later you realize that this is something you missed and you want to avail, there is no way you can catch the bus. So the government is very clear that if you are not availing the credit by the 30th September, earlier it is the return for the month of September, but now that has been changed to 30th November of the subsequent financial year. So if you are claiming it by 30th November, then you are eligible to take the input tax credit. Question that also comes up is this applicable for self-tax invoice reverse charge? In my view, yes. Even reverse charge, if you have not paid in this year, you are paying it after 2 years, 3 years, can you claim the credit? I don't think you will get a credit if you have not paid the reverse charge within the timelines. Next, restrictions on the input tax credit. There are no changes to this entry. The same 17 subsection 5 gives you that if something is used for business also, you cannot take an input tax credit. If it is a passenger motor vehicle, staff welfare relating to food and beverages, if some of your goods have been lost or stolen, if you are paying any health or life insurance, if you are incurring any works contract, construction of a building or personal consumption, in all these cases, you cannot take the credit. Apart from that, you cannot take a credit if something which is used towards exempt supply or nil rated, again, you cannot take the credit. If something is a common credit, then there is a rule 42-43, proportionately you reverse the credit. Any purchase made towards the taxable supply or an export, zero rated supply or supply to SEZ, you can avail the input tax credit. So which means pertaining to taxable and zero rated, 100% allowed. Pertaining to other than business or exemption, 100% not allowed. How do I utilize the input tax credit? Rule 49 sub rule 5, section 49.5 read with rule 88A. There is a manner in which the input tax credit can be availed. The only condition is your IGST liability. Please note, your IGST liability has to be utilized first, or it has to be set off first. Only then you can do something. So an IGST input tax credit, I have to clear off IGST liability first. I have to empty that bucket first. Then I can use it towards CGST or SGST in any manner. There is no restriction that I should only towards use 100% to CGST Today, portal allocates 100% to CGST. Not necessary that you should do it in that manner. You can do it in any manner. As long as the IGST liability is exhausted, you can do anything. When it comes to CGST, again, the expectation is you use CGST credit to your CGST liability and you will use towards IGST. While SGST is towards SGST and IGST, unfortunately, you cannot cross-utilize the CGST, SGST credits cross-utilization. So what is the due care that you have to take is this IGST credit, allocate 50% to CGST, another 50% to SGST, so that there is a balance. I have seen most of the times where the people have paid the taxes towards SGST, but the input tax credit ledger of CGST is accumulating. So this is because the auto allocation which is done by the system that happens. Another condition that you have is a class of people who have been notified where the income tax paid is less than 1 lakh, you are not a corporate, all those conditions are given in 86B. If you fit into those conditions, the government says at least 1% of the tax to be paid in cash, rest can be paid to the electronic credit ledger. The next thing you should be aware that 2A and 2B are there. People always get confused which is the tool I should use for reconciliation. If you are reconciling today for a particular month of the past, then use GST or 2A. If you are looking at how much credit you have to take in the month, look for 2B. If you want to do a YTD reconciliation, again use 2B, right? So 2A tells you the credit pertains to a month. 2B tells credit how much eligible in that month. Basically, GSTR 2A is a mirror replica of GSTR 1. If an invoice relating to Jan 21 uploaded in R1 of May 21, uploaded in May 21. However, it is R1 of Jan 21. I'm presuming that it is in Jan R1 filed late in May. It will still be available in Jan 2A. While since it is filed in May 21, it will be available in May 2B, which means it is a timing difference. So on a given scale of the thing, if an item appears in 2A in this month, it may appear in 2B in this month. But on a longer scale, it will still appear, but there is a timing difference. Second, this data also has imports and other information. How do I report the credit? Basis my 2B or 2A? The answer to it is you have to report the credit basis your GST or 2B. There is a change in the reporting. Earlier, we were reporting eligible credit in 4FI, ineligible credit in 4D. So the government has changed this word ineligible and they said other details. What is the change that has been happened? They said they brought in something called permanent reversal in 4B1, temporary reversal in 4B2. So I'll give you by way of a slide. So if you have a total credit, the total credit in GST or 2B, segregate into two sections. In 2B, it will say that is it eligible? It is not checking from 17.5 or exempt. In 2B, it is checking ineligible if supplier has filed their R1 late, if the place of supply is other than location of recipient. Sorry, this is not location of supplier. This should be read as location of recipient. So if the place of supply is different from the location of recipient, in these situations, it would be marked as ineligible. It will be marked as ineligible by the portal. If something is marked as ineligible, the portal says directly report it in your 4D2. If something is marked as eligible, then you report it in 4A5. So your reporting is 4A5 and 4D2. The total credit in GST or 2B should fit into either of these two. Now, even though you are reporting something in 4A5, if you think that it is ineligible, maybe 17.5 or whatever, you will have to see if it is ineligible, you will report it in 4B1. It will be reported in 4A5 and also in 4B1. If you think it is eligible and you are availing in the same month, you will report in 4A5. You want to avail it in the future period. For why I have not received the goods, or I don't know whom to this invoice belongs to, or the goods are coming in lots. I want to avail it in last month for whatever reason. I want to hold it temporarily. I want to reverse. So a temporary reversal is 4B2. A permanent reversal is 4B1. This is something which is a new change that has come in the reporting. It has come from last year, August. So a couple of months already over. If someone is not aware of this change, you should better know that this is the way one has to do the reporting. Any doubts to anyone? Please put your questions in the chat. What is the check that you have to do? Whenever the month in which you are availing, re-availing, you will be re-availing, you will report it in 4A5, which means 4A5 it is coming twice. So your check should be whatever the summation which you have in 4B2, which is the pertaining to the earlier periods, where you are availing it, you are informing in 4D1. Any reporting in 4D1 will not affect your credit ledger. You are informing in your 4D1. So your check should be, your 4B2 value should be higher than 4D1. Second, 4A5 is auto-populated in 2B, should be read as whatever the credit that I am availing in 4A5 in 3B minus 4D1. So that's how you will check, you will see. And a major check is my 2B credit should match with 4A5 plus 4D2. These are the checks that you need to build for yourself. How do I handle this temporary credits? Temporary credits means goods have not come or material is pending, whatever be the reason. So in the first month, when the goods, when you don't know how to take the credit, you report it in 4A5 and 4B2. In the second month, you will report it in 4A5 and 4D1. So again, if you are feeling confusing, I've just given one small table. Let's say in 2B, you have the credit in month 150 rupees. In the books, you do not have the credit. In month 2, there is nothing in 2B. In the books, there is 150 rupees. How are you reporting? In the first month, you will report 4A5 as 150. Since you don't know, you will reverse it temporarily through 4B2. The net credit is 0. In the month in which you have a clarity, you will again avail it back, which is in 4A5. It doesn't mean that total credit availed is 300 rupees. You will, since the earlier credit was already reversed, the net ITC that you are availing is only 150. Because you are availing something which is extra, you will report this under 4D1. This is the kind of reporting that has been expected. How will GST Zen help you in handling all these complications? Firstly, technology is always a biggest boon. You should always embrace technology. You should take advantage of it. When you use a technology, it has an ability to handle how much ever volume of the data you will be able to do. Currently, you might be happy using a VLOOKUP pivot table and matching it. But if you have to do frequently every day, then it is going to become challenge. Reconciliation can be done more frequently. You don't need to wait a month. If a credit is missing, you can track it easily. Every month you can see how much I have availed, how much to be availed. If you have to follow up with the vendors, you don't need to do, system will do. GST Zen will automatically send an email if someone has not filed. It will also show you who are the people who are filing their returns late. And you can do match your credits at a PAN level. Sometimes you might have noticed invoice would have gone to head office and the goods would have come to some branch. So the branch has accounted the purchase bill, but the credit is lying in the head office. Ideally, the cross charge should have happened. So these kind of errors can also be traced and handled. Especially verifying the vendors who have not filed 3B and you have already availed the credit basis GST or 2B. These are also can be tracked in GST Zen. So I would request Bharati to give a demo and how the GST Zen can be used in optimizing the credit and reconciling the missing things. As she is giving the demo, if you have any credits about the technical discussion that we had, feel free to put your questions in the chat box. Bharati?
Hello.
Yes, Bharti.
Yes. Hi. I'm audible, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Just a moment, please. Sharing my screen here. Okay. Hello, everyone. So I'll be showing you the demo of GST Zen software and explain how it would be helpful for you to use to track all your suppliers, whether they're filing on time, and help you in reconciling your to be with your purchase register so that you're claiming all the ITC that you can. You don't have to pay excess uh, cash so that your working capital is not tied up. So once you sign up to GST Zen, this is what your dashboard would look like. You can add all the GST numbers here, and at a glance, you'd be able to see your status of various recent returns, your GSTR1, 3B, and your GSTR9. So green is indicating that it has been filed on time, red indicates not filed, and if it is in orange, that means filed late. Blue is indicating that it is still pending and within the due date. So to
Maybe Bharti, you can get inside and also show that monthly thing that is there.
yes, that I'll be showing. Yeah. So to if you want the in-depth filing status for your GST number, you can go to the particular GST number and it will be displayed here. So it is not updated yet. So I can update and the relevant fields will be updated here. So at a glance, you'll be able to see when has it been filed, whether it's filed on time or late or not yet. So all this information you'll be able to get from GST Zen, as well as you can get the tax returns here. It will give you an Excel to download. You'll be able to download the status of all your GST numbers that you have added to GST Zen. So now moving on to the reconciliation of your ITC with your books. So there's this option of reconcile books versus government portal data. Other services are also provided in GST Zen, such as you can download various reports. You can download your file GSTR1 or your 2A, 2B, 3B. Then we also provide this consolidated report GSTR1 versus 2A versus 3B, wherein it will compare all these filed returns. So you will have comparison between your GSTR 1 and 3B. You'll have comparison between your GSTR 2B or 2A with 3B, and it will also give you comparison of books with these respective returns, so that you can have everything, summary of everything in a single report. When you're looking at reconciliation, we provide purchase register with GSTR2A, purchase register with 2B, sales register with GSTR1, and sales register with the e-invoices generated. We also provide the service of filing returns. You can file your GSTR1, 3B, 9, and 9C. Okay. So now moving on to the reconciliation, we are doing purchase register with 2B, and selecting the relevant financial year. There are simple steps to be followed here. So the first step would be to log into the portal and download the relevant data. I can log in with OTP or username password. Logging in with OTP right now. Okay, so once logged in, I can select the relevant information. If I want to download for a single month, I can select that, or click on all and click download data from the government portal. So once it is downloaded, it will show a green tick, and it will also show the time of download. It is not required in case of 2B, but if you're downloading 2A, you would need to know when was it that you last updated your 2A. So if somebody today is filing a return late, and if you refresh your 2A, it would come in your 2A, but not in 2B since it's starting. So it's important to know the date of download. So you have the reports up to date. The next step would be to upload the purchase register. It can be uploaded through an Excel or direct tally integration. I'm uploading through an Excel right now. Just a moment. So I've already prepared some invoices to upload. You can upload any format as long as it has the mandatory fields. Since I've uploaded the format before, the settings are getting preloaded for me. So you would have to map the file once. And if you upload the same format again, the settings will come preloaded. So GST Zen performs a set of checks and validation when you upload your data. So if all of the data is correct, it will show you the step to confirm upload. And if there are any errors, it will show you the list of errors that it gets after validating the data. And then you can go and correct your data and re-upload like this. It is identifying the supplier GST number that this is an incorrect GST number. So you can check your data, correct it, and re-upload. So this is the summary of the correct data. I can verify it with my documents and then confirm and save entries. So now 2 steps are completed. I've downloaded the data from the portal and uploaded the data from books. Next step is to run the matcher. It will ask for 2 parameters that you can put in as per your preference and then run it. This is matching the invoices of books with the portal. We perform this matching based on various things like your invoice date, invoice number, supplier GST number. So various things are considered for matching an invoice. I'll show you all those criteria in this report. Once this matcher is run, we can download the reports here. So the reports are available at month level and at the yearly level. So you can download the report for the whole financial year or for a month. You can also download on various bases. So speaking of this January return, so if you download based on invoice date, it will only give you invoices which belong to January, whose date belong to January. Then we have this GSTR 3B claim period. There might be an invoice of October that you are claiming in January. So GST Zen provides a provision where you can enter this record date. So that October invoice you are claiming in January. So when you provide the record date as January, this report will come based on that. The last one is based on filing period. It is based on what is reported in GSTR 2B. So if we are looking at the report of January, there might be some invoices of August, let's say, reported in January return, or where somebody has filed the December GSTR 1 late. So those invoices will also be there in the January return. So you can download the report as per your need. I'm downloading this at the moment and showing you the sample report. So I'll show you how GST Zen would help you in tracking your ITC claimed. This is the summary of your GSTR to be matching with books. This sheet will show the reconciliation. All the invoices highlighted here in yellow are present only in books. The ones highlighted in blue are present only in portal, and green means matched. So the match type is indicating only in books, only in portal, and matched. So these columns from AN to AR will help you in keeping a record of your workings. So let's say there is an invoice only in books and no entry could be found in the portal. So you can mark it as email supplier. Once you mark it as email supplier and update the information in GST Zen, it will enable you to send an email directly from GST Zen to the supplier. You can also provide a claim date as to when you're claiming it. So this invoice is matched, and you can say lock match because you're satisfied with it, and you can provide the claim date. So if you're providing the claim date of January here, the next time you download the YTD report, so whichever invoices which do not have a claim date would be the ones which are newly matched, and you'd be able to see for which invoices do you have to claim credit. Wherever it is matched and you're not claiming it, you can provide the ITC eligibility, and you can provide the ITC claim status as well. And any notes that you want to provide, you can enter here. So GST Zen is matching the invoices on various parameters. So you have invoice number match type, whether the invoice number is an exact match, it is matching, it is similar. Sometimes you have, let me show you an example like this, a very strong match. It is similar but not exact. If you see here, there is an additional 0 in the invoice number from the portal. So this is very similar. Sometimes it is not matching at all. So invoice might be matched on other criteria, such as the amounts and dates are matching, but the invoice number is not matching. Then it would say a weak match. It also shows you the invoice date gap, place of supply, whether it's a match or a mismatch, and any tax amount differences. So by these columns, you can have save all your working and track what you have claimed in which month. And you can also send the email for the invoices where you find that it is only in books and the supplier has not uploaded your invoice in their GST return. We also match the amendments versus the original. So wherever there are any amendments, so we would show the amendment versus what was the original entry against it. So you would also be able to keep track of all the amendments. And in this sheet, the books invoice would be matched with the amended entry and not the original. So you would be able to see the correct match here. So whatever you save here gets uploaded to the software. And if you have multiple users, you can track it. Some other user would be able to see what working you have done. And let's say you have various branches, they are uploading their own data, making changes there. So they can upload their respective data, and you as an administrator can check all the data that has been uploaded, check all the workings. Plus you can also have this filter, download, advanced reconciliation. So if you only want to check what is accepted, or if you only want the entries that are rejected or pending accept, so you can download a custom report based on that. This is the GST number level report. You also can check at PAN level. Let's say you have multiple GST numbers at the PAN level. So you can go here, select the PAN, and it will provide you the reports at PAN level. So the same reconciliation that I was checking at GST level, number level, I can get at PAN level. So it is also provided monthly as well as at yearly. Same basis you have here as well, based on invoice date, based on record date, and based on filing period. Now, so the other condition that Venu sir had talked about was you would not be able to claim the ITC, or you'll have to reverse the ITC before 30th of November if the supplier has not filed their GSTR 3B. So how can you see whether your supplier is compliant or not? So here in the useful tools, we have provided this facility, GST return filing status. You can add the number here. Let's say I want to check for this one GST number, or you can add multiple GST numbers at one time. I'm checking for one GST number right now. You add the GST number here, select the period. You can get the yearly filing status or monthly. So I'm checking yearly for 22-23. This is provided to all our pay as you go users, and the service is free of cost for your Pro Plus customers. Whoever has taken a Pro Plus subscription with GST Zen, they would be able to avail this service. This would be part of their subscription. So if I check this filing status report, it would show me the filing status for GSTR1 and 3B. So here I can see if they have filed their GSTR1 for April. So yes, they have filed, and on which date has it been filed. Similarly for 3B. So I can see if they are filing. So they are filing, but some of the returns, this return is late. So I can also check whether they're filing on time. Based on this, you can choose to continue with you will have to make a decision whether you want to continue with your supplier or not. So you can check it every month, or you can get it at the end of the financial year. So this report is available for multiple financial years as well as for a particular month that you want to download. Okay, so that is it for the demo. Please let me know if there are any questions regarding the software or any process here.
Yeah, so if any of you have any questions, now you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question. Some of the questions that have come onto the chat, I have given responses against each question there itself. But if anything which is not answered, feel free to put your question. You can unmute yourself and you can ask a question too. Any questions in any of the points which I have deliberated, or if any of the points which Bharti has shown up? Do you have any questions? Some of you have asked about how to register. I've shared the link for sign up, and those have asked me about the costing. There are various plans that I've shared the details there. Yes, Mishra sir, the cost of the software is also shared here. There are various variants. Let me share the screen. Yeah, so there are three variants. The basic version, Pro and Pro Plus is which Bharti was mentioning about all advanced features, enriched APIs and PAN level reconciliation, auto fetching of the vendor filing status. All these reports are available. So any of the corporate can use this. This price is for full year, and any number of times you can download sync reconciliations. There is no restriction on the usage of this. Hope you are clear with the pricing. Prakash is asking how to report claim ITC of the past period before the new system of reporting carry forward started. If there is something, let us say a credit of April 22, you have not taken, you still have the time. It was there in 2B of April itself, suppose, and how do I avail it now is the question of Suprakash. The answer to it is you will be reporting it in the, ideally you should have reported in the first month, where saying that, okay, this is 4B2, the opening credits, which I am reversing, you put it into your 4A5. So because on a YTD basis, it will reconcile. And in the month in which now you are availing, you will be reporting it in your 4A5 again and 4D1. So that way you are matching the total 2B credits to your 4A5. That is how one should be reporting. Hope this is clear. Is it not possible to show the GSTR 3B filing status in GSTR 2B reconciliation? Yeah. See, what happens is at the time when you downloaded GSTR 2B, the 3Bs wouldn't have got filed. 2B is generated on 13th midnight. Okay. But 3B might be filed later whenever. So you have to keep checking every month. So which is like a cumbersome. So you need to find a way to query 1 month GSTR 3B of any period. So for all the Pro Plus users, you will get a matrix which month which user did not file the returns. Balasubramanian, the imports, no, I think that question is answered. Okay, the imports are reported in 4A1. Oh, sorry, I think we are you are talking about imports. Yeah, I missed. When it comes to the imports, Balasubramanian, there is no timelines. You can always avail the credit. The restriction is only which comes to the forward charge credits. Import goes to 4A1. So the month in which you have received the bill of entry, which means the goods have come, if you filed bill of entry and the custom clearance happened, you can avail the credit. Then there is a question that then one supplier issued the invoice, but earlier his GSTN was cancelled. How can we treat ITC? Okay. In case if the GSTN is cancelled, the portal will show that this is an ineligible credit. This would get into a matter of litigation. Assuming that he has filed his 3 when these taxes are paid, if that declaration you can get it from the supplier, you can avail the credit. Padma is asking, reverse charge is not allowed for TDS taxpayer. What does this mean? Yes, TDS taxpayers is not paying tax. They're only deducting TDS. And when the supplier is giving a reverse charge invoice, let's say if I am availing, say let's say state government of Karnataka, I am getting a cab related service from a vendor who is giving me a reverse, and let's say annual contract is more than 2.5 lakhs. Generally, taxable supply more than 2.5 lakhs, 2% TDS, 1% CGST, 1% SGST I have to deduct. In this case, since it is a reverse charge, since there is no liability for the supplier to make the payment of tax, hence the TDS provisions under 51 are not applicable in this case. Can we reverse the debit of the ITC if the supplier GST is cancelled? Yes, you can reverse it. There is no, the government would be happy with it. Mahadevi is asking, IGST paid on import of goods through ICAT, but the same is not reflected in 2B. Can we avail such credits? Yes, you have, the availment of the credits is given, is governed by not 36.4 or 2B. It is governed by the bill of entry. You can definitely avail the credits. The availment of credits are permitted. Any questions? However, our contact details are given. If you have any clarification, you can always reach to us. Here are the coordinates. You can WhatsApp to us, you can email, you can write an email, or you can send a message or a WhatsApp to this number. If the supplier invoice is mismatch in there too, I still didn't get this question. Can B2C invoice during cancellation of GST be converted into B2B after the cancellation is revoked? Yes, one time you can change a B2C value or a B2B value. The portal permits it. As long as you are not making multiple amendments, you can do the change. Shilpa is asking, it is a courier bill of entry. IGST credit will not be shown in 2B. Yes, the courier bill of entries have this problem. Again, if you read Rule 36(1), the sub-rule D, it says the bill of entry or any other document as prescribed by the customs. So even courier bill of entries are also okay for claiming the input tax credit. Can this recording be shared? As I missed the part of it, you will be getting a recorded version of this link after the meeting, along with the copy of presentation. You will be getting an email of it. Any other questions? Good. I think we are on time. So it's 4 o'clock. If you don't have any questions, we can conclude the session. Shilpa, I don't know which question you're asking me to explain. Maybe you can unmute yourself and ask the question. All right. If there are no questions, maybe I think we can, yeah, you can unmute yourself. Anyone who wants to ask? Yes, Shilpa.
Sir, actually what happened, we have received credit of courier bill of entries in our 2B, but no, not received, sir. But we have the hard copies of the bill of entries, so that are eligible to us.
Yes, it is eligible to you and you can take the credit of it.
But sir, afterwards, if whenever there will be GST audit, so then what will be the proof if GST department asks us how you have availed? So there is no basic that 2B is not showing.
Showing of 2B is not a condition for import of goods. If you read Rule 36, Sub-Rule 1, Clause D, where it says any other similar document prescribed by customs. So courier bill of entry is a prescribed document. That is sufficient to avail the credit.
So custom and GST department are different, na sir?
But if you see the import of, when you are importing the goods, you are actually not paying any levy of GST. When you are importing the goods, the levy is done under the Custom Act, not under the GST Act. So the input tax credit also, that is why it uses the definition. When you go to the definition of input tax credit, it is the tax that you are paying, IGST that you are paying under Customs Act is treated as the input tax credit. It is not a levy which is done in GST. So that is why the officer cannot say that it is not applicable. 2 subsection 62 of the Act defines what is input tax credit. And the first entry, it says the IGST which is charged on import of goods. So the charge of IGST is under Customs Act and not under the GST Act.
Okay. Sir, can I get your email ID so that I can briefly write you for this clarification?
Sure, no problem. You can write it to, in fact, you can always write to us support@gstzen.in or sales@gst.in. So one of our team member will get in touch with you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I am putting the email ID in the chat.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, any other question, ma'am?
Sir, regarding e-invoices,
Hmm.
now we are receiving the GST invoices from our suppliers.
Hmm.
So their e-invoice has already started, but we have not received the physical copy with e-invoice and that IRN. So is it compulsory to maintain the?
No, not required. As long as you have electronic copy, that is sufficient.
No, but IRN and that QR code. So QR code copy is not with us. So we have to get it for earlier years.
If you don't have the QR code, how do you know that e-invoices is like the condition of the e-invoices? You need to have the IRN and the QR code in it. Only then it is a valid invoice. Rule 48, sub-rule 5.
But only if QR code is there, it will be sufficient.
That is sufficient.
That is sufficient. But sir, we should have that copy, invoice copy with us. That e-invoice copy.
And then how do you have the QR code? If you are saying it's like on the invoice only it is printed and given, no?
So they had that supplier is maintaining 2 copies. One is tax invoice he is giving to us, and afterwards he is filing whenever he is making e-invoice by his separate any option. So
no problem. Let him, after doing the e-invoice, let him give you the copy of the invoice to you.
But sir, if in earlier year we were not aware that he was applicable, that e-invoice was applicable to him. So
no problem. Rule 36 sub-rule 2 will come as a savior to you. If the customer is not complying, it is not your problem. But when during the transportation of the goods, the squad officers who are checking the goods, they are very particular that where invoice is applicable. If the invoice is not generated, they are leaving the penalty, because if you see rule 138B, where the requirement of the e-way bill is mentioned, the document which you need to carry is the invoice. So if the tax invoice is not there, that means it will be treated as an invalid thing. Actually, rule 138A, sub rule 1, clause A.
But sir, now what happens कि मतलब अगर सप्लायर ने अभी समझे आज बिल जनरेट किया तो
ठीक है।
पोर्टल पे वो 2 दिन के लिए अवेलेबल रहता है डाउनलोड करने के लिए उनको भी
हाँ,
इनवाइस करते हैं तो सर उसके लिए कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है कि अभी मोर डेज का वगैरह ऐसे या और कोई
अगर आप GST Zen सॉफ्टवेयर यूज कर रहे हो तो GST Zen सॉफ्टवेयर में आपको 5 साल तक वो इनवॉइस रहेगा। आपको पोर्टल में मिल गया, छूट गया, वो जरूरत नहीं है। When you are using GST Zen, वो GST Zen का इनवॉइस कॉपी रहेगा, वो पोर्टल का डेटा सिंक करके GST Zen स्टोर करके रखेगा। Better always use a software which can take care of all these challenges.
ओके तो मतलब फॉर सप्लायर आवर सप्लायर एज वी एज अ सप्लायर बोथ रहेगा
अभी एज ए रिसिपिएंट आपको बोलना है कि मेरे को चाहिए। अगर
हाँ
इफ दे आर नॉट यूजिंग ए सॉफ्टवेयर, आप बोलिए कि ये सॉफ्टवेयर यूज कर लीजिए, वो डेटा वहां रहेगा।
हाँ
एंड इसे आपको ऑटोमेटिकली फ्रॉम GST Zen यू विल गेट एन ईमेल एज्यूमिंग अगर आप GST Zen के थ्रू इनवॉइस कर रहे हो, कस्टमर को ऑटोमेटिकली ईमेल चला जाएगा।
अच्छा कॉपी भी चला जाएगा
हाँ हाँ,
और अगर हमारा सप्लायर है तो फिर उसका कैसे रहेगा मतलब
उसको कंप्लेन करना है। मैं आपके लिए बोल रहा हूँ, आपका
अच्छा,
कस्टमर्स को
हमारा-
ऑटोमेटिकली ईमेल चला जाएगा।
अच्छा वैसे चला जाएगा
हाँ।
थैंक यू सर थैंक
Yeah,
यू
Mahadevi is asking from when it is applicable. I don't know, Mahadevi, what is the question? Maybe again you can unmute yourself and ask. ठीक है। Divyang is asking the price is for how many subscriptions? It is for one GST number subscription. If you are a tax practitioner, you can always reach to us. There is a separate price for the tax practitioners. Of course, minimum I think around 25 bundle or so. Is QR code necessary for a B2C invoice and credit notes? QR code is not applicable for B2C invoice. QR code is applicable only for a B2B transaction. B2C QR code is in compliance of section 31A if your turnover is more than 500 crores. When will this video be available? So this is a YouTube recording. It is available now. You can always watch it. All right. I think we have addressed all the questions. In case if there are no questions, we can call it for the day. Yeah. And anyone have any questions, you can always reach us to the support ID, or if it is subject related question, you can always reach it to me. My email ID is also shared on the screen. Okay. Thank you. On this note, we will sign up for the day and have a great day.